Okay, so this is my Gengar deck, and it features Gengar from with the Creep Show attack. If your opponent's active Pokemon has 3 or more damage counters on it, that Pokemon is knocked out. And it also has the Sinister Fog attack. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Put 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Now, I know that Sinister Fog doesn't sound like a good attack, but if used properly within this deck, it will definitely help get those damage counters on the Pokemon on the benches when you need it there. And it can poison the active Pokemon as well. So that can definitely help a lot with this deck. But the main strategy of this deck is to kill opponent's Pokemon with Creep Show. But you will be using Sinister Fog a lot with this deck. And also what makes Gengar so great is that there's no retreat cost. So you don't have to worry too much about the retreat, because he's got no retreat. That makes him a very awesome card. Now, I do run a Tauros GX in here. I also run a Mewtwo EX with the Shadow Shot version from Breakthrough. And I run a Tapu Lele in here as well. The Tauros, Mewtwo, and Lele are here for the beginning of the match mostly. In the beginning of the match is going to be the hardest part and the hardest time that this deck is going to have. So when you play Mewtwo or Lele or Tauros, you're going to want one of them in your beginning spot in the beginning of the match. And because generally the opponent is probably going to try to bulldoze you from that point. And really the only way to block that out is with the Mewtwo, Tauros, or Lele with this deck. And you just can't do that with the Ghastlies and Zubats. So there's that. I mean, the opponent might have to take a while to set up, and sometimes you might have to lose a few Ghastlies or Zubats before you get going. But you're really gonna want those Mewtwo, Tauros, and Lele up there on that starting slot. And I also run a Ninja Boy. Pretty much for that own situation. Say you have a Zubat or a Ghastly up front, or a Mr. Mime up front, and then you can just put out one of your EX pokes or GX pokes out there with the Ninja Boy. Very, very handy card in that situation. I run Mr. Mime in here for the bench barrier. Prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon by attack. Very, very important card, because Ghastlies and Zubats have such low energy, low HP. So any deck that can damage your bench you're going to want to get the Mr. Mime out there as quickly as possible. And I mean as quickly as possible, because your main end game strategy is not going to go through with a bunch of dead Ghastlies and Zubats in your discard pile. So get Mr. Mime out there ASAP if you see that happening. And I run 2 Haunters from Breakthrough with the Gothic Fear ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may leave both active Pokemon confused. Very, very good ability for this deck. That'll get the 30 damage counters you need if they flip tails. And then you can kill them next turn when you evolve your Haunter. Or you could just kind of use it to get the 3 damage counters on for later use. So, I mean, it's a good card with this deck. Really, really good ability. I only run 2 because it's not like a game breaker entirely, I don't think. But I do run a Haunter from Generations, and I run one of these just to give me the option of using Hypnosis if for some reason I have a Ghastly in the active spot. And maybe a Hypnosis and a possible Dream Eater might get me where I want to go. might help. That's why he's in here, because the other one just has no attack potential really. Poison Ring doesn't come in that much handy, but it can poison them, so it's a thought. But I don't find myself using it or it coming in handy too often. But it does poison now, so it isn't worthless. But Gothic Fear is the main reason why I run this guy. That's why I run more. That's why I run more of those than the other one. And Tapu Lele is also to use with the Wonder Tag ability and the Tapu Cure. Though mainly you'll find Tapu Lele to be a tank, early game tank or late game tank, soak up damage and to get that 30 damage off. Possible knockout with her. You know, I mean, you know, if you could win the match with the Lele or Mewtwo or the Tauros, you know, go right ahead. You know, ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, if it wins, it wins. You know, but I'm just saying, you know, that's not. You know, they're just kind of here to kind of devastate the opponent if they can, but you're gonna want to power up those Gengars more so than the EX Pokemon, because that is the strategy, is to use Creepshow. But in the beginning of the match, I think you will find that powering up Mewtwo or Tauros or Lele is your best bet in the beginning. And the beginning of the match is also going to be your hardest time in the match, especially if you're going up against a GX deck or an EX deck in the beginning. That could devastate you from round 2 or 3 on. So you're going to need these cards. I run 2 energy recyclers in here. I run 2 energy recyclers because I found that with the deck and my Gengars getting knocked out all the time, that I had problems getting the energy when I needed it. And I found myself in situations where if I had that 1 energy attached to my Gengar, I would have won. Or I would have knocked out the Pokemon instead of getting knocked out. So that's why I run 2 of these. I also run 2 Evo Sodas, I think that's self-explanatory. 3 level balls for the Zubats and the Ghastlies and the Haunters and the Golbats. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about the Zubats. I run a 3-3 line of Zubat and Golbat. Golbat because of the Sneaky Bite. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may put 2 damage counters on one of your Pokemon. That is a very pivotal and important point in this deck, and it pairs extremely nicely with the Creepshow attack. You may want to use that attack, use Golbat Sneaky Bite before, get that 20 damage on, use a Sweep Across attack, which does 10 damage to all Pokemon on your opponent's side, which is also very, very good, like I said earlier with the Sinister Fog. Since you only need 3 damage counters, you can start setting up your opponent's bench with damage counters with the Golbat, with the Scoop Across. Very, very viable attack for this deck. And no retreat cost on the Golbat either. So you can play him out there when a poke gets destroyed, just to kind of see what you're going to do next. And then tackle on that extra 20 damage with the Creepshow for that 10 damage that he might have possibly done with Sinister Fog. So you see why the Golbat is such a pivotal and important part of this deck. Very, very good card. And honestly, I think pairs very, very nicely with the Gengar. I would not suggest you take out the Zubat or Golbats. I run 2 Professor's Letters because, again, I just have a hard time finding the energies when I need them. 1 Super Rod, because, you know, I might they might knock out my line of Ghastlies and Gengars. So generally the Super Rod is just there to put the Ghastly, Haunter, Gengar back in your deck. I might even suggest taking out a letter and putting in another Super Rod, because in end game you're going to be trading pokes pretty quickly. So you might want to get your Ghastly line out pretty quick. 1 Timer Ball. 2 Verse Seekers, 2 Ultra the Moons. Ultra the Moon is in here just mainly just to knock out the opponent's stadium, but it's a pretty viable stadium for this deck nonetheless. Just be careful now because your opponent will use it if it's out there. But it's mainly just to knock out your opponent's stadium cards. It's not really here to help you with its ability. But it can. It does work. And I run one Bridget for getting out the Zubats and Ghastlies. One Lysander. I want a Lysander out of Pokemon. Just give me some more options. I would not suggest taking the Lysander out. Would not suggest it at all. Leave the Lysander in. Lysander wins games. I run 2 N's in here. One Ninja Boy, very, very important card in here. Don't take it out. One Fan Club. I run the Fan Club in here instead of a Bridget because for the Tapu Lele and because just to give you some more options, you know. Definitely not necessary, but I run 2 Sycamores in the deck. I run 2. And I don't even know how many I run. I might run 4 Shaunas. Yeah, I run 4 Shaunas in here. You know, cause I run a line of Golbats and I run a line of Ghastlies. You don't want to be discarding those cards with the Sycamore. You're gonna be wanting to kind of swoop through your deck with the Shaunas and the Ends, which is why I don't run more Sycamores, because you're gonna want to kind of swoop through your deck so you don't lose your Gengars and Haunters. And I run 2 Skylas. Awesome card. And I run 2 Poison Barbs. This card can get you that damage, that 10 extra damage, or that 30 damage, where if you see it happening, you can set up the 30 damage beforehand and get that Pokemon. This card is amazing with this deck. It pairs extremely, extremely nicely with Gengar's Creep Show ability. Attack, excuse me. I cannot begin to explain the Poison Barb's benefit to this deck. It is immense. Very, very immense. Very, very awesome tool card here. Highly recommended. And I run 10 Psychic Energies. 10. This is my Gengar deck. You know, honestly, I think I'm going to put in a Mew with the neutral shield ability, and I think I will take out a Professor's Letter for that. I thought I only ran 1, but I didn't. Anyway, that's my Gengar deck. You know, I would suggest a Mew with the neutral shield ability very, very highly. So maybe take out an energy reset, energy recycler. Don't take out the Super Rod though, or a Professor's Letter. Maybe even the Timer Ball. Because you'll find with this deck, you'll get the Gengars and your Golbats and your Haunters with the Shaunas and the Ends and the Professor Sycamores pretty quickly, because it's not a rushed evolution deck. It takes time. You know, so I would say this is a pretty hard deck to use. For me, it has been the hardest deck that I have had to use. The turns and the thought processes you have to use for the deck are pretty up there. I'd say in order to get full use out of this deck, you really have to know what you're doing, and you really have to plan ahead. I mean, you really have to plan ahead, but if you can get that win, it is very, very satisfying, and it is very fun. Very, very fun deck to play. I don't know if it's tournament competitory, maybe with a Mew, but I think it's a fun deck. It's a fun deck to play, and it's very, very fun. And I loved it a lot, and I hope you use it and make your own versions of it. And I would love to see more of the Gengar decks in the verse matches. So, yeah, thank you for watching.